Hello, hello, hello. What's going on out there, crypto world? Hope y'all are having a good start of the week on everyone's favorite day today, which is Monday, September 10th, 2018. This is No Noise with your host, Z-Rex. We're going to talk about some Bitcoin today. Again, we are going with mostly TA format now. I've decided to shelf the news for a little bit and just see kind of how that goes, just to feel it out, you know. Maybe I'll just do like in the beginning here. Yeah, some interesting kind of funny things I saw. Miracle Whip wants to do Whip Coin. I think they might be playing around in a tweet. Kind of hilarious, whatever. Good stuff. Playing little games out there. SEC, I did see something talking about they banned or suspended trading on that Bitcoin Tracker 1. I don't really think that matters. It wasn't very liquid. And they're probably just pissed because some of their American buddies couldn't get it out fast enough. And the Swedes are over there like, yep, we got this. Yep, and waves popping pretty hard today. Or the last few days, really. I guess they launched like smart contracts or something on their main net, so there you go. Waves is a pretty cool platform. If you've never used it, go check it out. It's definitely fast. It's a DEX, all that good fun stuff. All right, well, let's jump into some price action. Oh, I guess one other big thing, just if you wanted to know, the Gemini buddies. I guess it's going to be the first US dollar approved stable coin. So I guess that's a pretty big deal. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Tether's already kind of got that on lock, so I think it'll be kind of hard to compete with them. All right, let's go to the shared screen and just get into some price here. Global market cap is still below 200. Not looking great. We need to get above that. Just like we talked about in the other video. Yeah, sorry I missed y'all guys last night. It was kind of a late night, and I did not have the energy to make one. So, I did not do it. But nothing really happened since then, so that kind of worked out. Almost looks like we're in the same area. Still right here, chilling right above, or right below 200. Nothing exciting there. Bitcoin dominance is still creeping up. Here's a chart with Bitcoin dominance on it right here. You can see it is about 55 now. It's just been steadily climbing this entire year. It's in a clear uptrend. I think that what I've talked about before is kind of playing out here. I go into detail about it in some of my other videos. They're all timestamped, so you can find them real quick. I think it was about a week ago where I go into heavy detail about it. But in short, smart and big money are rotating into Bitcoin in the crypto sector, because that's going to be the one that leads the pack anyway. So why wouldn't you want to just be in that and wait, or at least like the majority of that, and wait until the market turns, which Bitcoin will be the leader of that pack. And then once it starts going up, people are going to start taking money out of that and then move it into alts. But why not park in the safest one while you're waiting for the market to kind of turn around? And of course, there are some arguments that you could make for that, like, well, what about Dogecoin? Well, what about Dogecoin? Let's go look at it. Oh my gosh, it's breaking out. No one thought that was going to happen. We discussed a little bit on the videos. It was looking really strong. And it's like, man, it looks like it's about to break out. It is just on fire. You can't stop the Shiba. At the moment, at least. Looks like we're flirting with this resistance here on these wicks, on the little tweezer top it made back in January, which is at about 113 sats. So we did bang on that, almost right on the door, about 110. So let's see what happens. This is really interesting to me that this Doge is not showing weakness during this whole time of this really nasty sell-off. Oh, if you just had your money in Doge, you'd be up quite a bit, which is pretty hilarious. Yeah, so dominance continues to climb. We are still lagging on general participation. People are pretty bored with it now. I was asking my friend why the market, or by the chat room. I'm in several different ones, but one of them that used to be really active is like pretty boring, and no one's really talking in there. And he's had some interesting thoughts about how the you know, there's the news sucks, the market sucks. It was just pretty much showing kind of like people are getting disinterested, you know. Gosh, if this thing only goes down with these little mini 20% pumps, who wants to play this? So people are definitely getting tired. Another one of my buddies just started trading stocks again a lot more because he's like, screw crypto. Even though there's big moves still all the time and lots of opportunity, it's just not as fun anymore. So that's a good sign. I mean, we are down massively in just the total market cap in general. We almost did hit $1 trillion. And so we are down to sub 200. This is super tiny, y'all. Very tiny. I mean, just Bitcoin alone is only 110 billion roughly. It's nothing, guys. Chump change. Let's see, the last 24 hours. Pretty damn flat for the top 20 coins, except Dogecoin. Oh, look at that. Dogecoin's in the top 20 right here. Almost hitting $1 billion market cap, right at about 800 million right there. So that's pretty interesting. Everything else, though, in the last day has been really flat. The worst out of the top 20 is going to be Bitcoin Cash. I'm sure a lot of people love to hear that because they just love to hate the Bcash. Let's go jump into a chart here. And not this one. We just looked at the Doge. I guess we can do some TA on it a little bit. Strong. I know it's like doesn't really mean anything. You are starting to get a little bit of divergence on the hourly though, but it doesn't really mean that much. So let's see, depending on where we close here in this next run in the next day or so, you might get a lot of divergence, as you can see from SEP 1 to SEP 10, which is where we are now. That kind of plays out. You're getting divergence on RSI and DMI pretty hardcore. No volatility either. Alright, so do be careful of that. I would not be holding longs on the Dogecoin right now. Unless you have a really long-term outlet and it's kind of like F it money and then whatever. You can do anything with the F it money. Here's Bitcoin, the big mama. Kind of just been doing what we've discussed the last few videos after this big nasty sell-off, which whatever it was, everyone wants to put news on price. It's the other way. It's mostly the other way around. 98, or what was the other one I keep hearing too? BitMEX. It's manipulating it. There's another one. I can't remember what it is right now, but it's equally as dumb. Oh, the Silk Road coins, you know, and all that. Oh, also, the pump for Doge was because of, you know, Binance doing something with it, or it's just all this dumb hoopla crap. It doesn't really matter. Just like the SEC tanked it because they said that, oh yeah, we're not going to approve any of the coins or the ETFs. Oh wait, actually we're going to review that. I mean, it's just, it doesn't matter. They just can change on a whim. Think of the election for the president, the U.S. presidential election. All the way up until the very second Trump, until he won, it was Armageddon for markets. Everything was going to die and just, we're going to explode. And nukes are just going to be fired everywhere and markets are going to crash. And that didn't happen. It happened for like 3 hours because all that fear got shook out. And then by the next morning, it was already rallying. And by the end of the week, we're like, oh, let's just make some new highs. And we haven't looked back since. So yeah, news is a joke. On the daily here, we're still slightly bearish. Still right above the about 26 line, which is control point for the DMI indicator. Still in the middle of this box. We have just been going sideways like we discussed since this initial sell-off, that we would just kind of bullshit and chop while we accepted this. We had a little mini sell-off right here Then it's a little mini Bart formation, I guess. Probably looks better on the hourly. There you go. There's a inverted Bart head. So yeah, that just totally got negated. This is interesting though, because this is going to put some pretty hard, like this kind of pattern sets up for good some resistance more so. So you got real hard resistance now, probably at about 64.5 to 65, just rounded to 65. That also coincides too with the purple exponential right here. So it is still looking fairly bearish. You do on the hourly though, on this one, the DMI is showing slight strength. Both of them have been strong in this whole last day though and a half. As you can see, they're both battling right up here around the 26 level. You don't see that super often with this indicator. Every once in a while. It does happen. It's not rare, but it's uncommon. You do have a little spinny top candle right here. It's not really in a place where it matters that much, and the volume is really low, so that's not a huge deal. Obviously the 55 exponential here is showing to be a little bit tough to bust through, as this hour has tried to do it. There's only about 16 minutes left on it. It's been trying, but they are showing, the bulls are showing a slight strength at the moment, but I wouldn't get too excited until we get over 6,500 from here. On the 4 hour, see, we've been battling the 21 exponential the entire time. Rejected, rejected, pretty much rejected, and getting rejected now, although we do have 2 hours left. So that can still blow through that very, very easily. The triple exponential, which are these blue dots, are showing some real good support here at 61.40-ish. So about 61.5. You're getting some good support. Bears are still in control though on the 4 hour, on the daily, on the 850, and only on the hour do they have control. So I mean, hey, it's got to start somewhere, right? So it looks like on the hourly they really are trying to defend here. As we've talked about, there is mad support in this green box that we've had drawn on here for months. So right in the middle of it too, smack in the middle. This is like the worst place for opening new trades. This sucks right here, guys. Be careful. This is not where you want to get overzealous with your Bitcoin predictions on price. You know, a lot of bears are already calling for, you know, it's going to below 6 for sure. They got really excited, which we talked about on this move. That was the thing that cautioned me. And it went right into the zone of where all the support is, plus all the bears got real cocky on that move. So still nothing really that much different to discuss than the last video. Just kind of doing this sideways action. Oscillators aren't really giving us any other clues right here, like we've kind of been in this chop zone. Once you get back in it, price, boxing off price and ranging it is probably the better way. And just keeping an eye on this 21 exponential, especially on like a 4 hour, will give you a good little clue if that momentum is changing. And if y'all are using DMI, how I like to use it, that shows even better because it's a little less noisy when you can get over 26 on the DMI indicator. So but do be aware, this got real bearish, kind of back over here in the 4 hour. All of the moving averages are lower than the longest ones. You got red, purple, orange, and yellow. So they are all below the longest term, which is the red one. Let's see if Ethereum is being a canary still. It has been that way for a while. Look at that, guys. Getting stalled right up here with the double dojis. With some good volume too. There's some pretty good vol down here, more than we've seen, and actually quite a bit. So this dump and this dump were accompanied with quite the heavy hands. So that is something to be aware of. That's not the best thing, unless we see some more, unless it keeps getting bought up here. It's really tough though. Ethereum does not look great. There is some slight divergence printing. See if we can see it on the RSI. Yeah, just barely. See right here and right here. There and there. So that's from mid-August, and that is way definitely very much higher price. So you got some pretty gnarly divergence building up on the indicators thus far. One interesting thing that I just now noticed in the VIX indicator that I use, or it's like it kind of mimics the VIX, and I know that's there's no color here, there's no strength shown in this sell-off. As you can see, when it turns pink, that means it's getting a little bit serious, and the bears are very strong and pronounced, and we're not getting any pink in this whole run-up here, so that's a little bit confusing. But we are basing right on this trend line, which I think is extremely important. We got mad support here, like 170-ish. 170-ish is kind of like, uh-oh, daily below that's going to be real bad. But there is definitely a lot of people playing the game with price here. So y'all can see the volume right there. We haven't seen that much volume in quite a while. So, especially not back to back to back. Definitely interesting price action. Let's ratchet down on some time frames. See what we see. Still definitely seeing some decent, better divergence in the DMI than the RSI. Not really that much in the RSI, but definitely a little bit in the DMI. Still bearish though. The bears are clearly above here. They're above 30 right now, so they are still strong. The bulls are creeping in though. They attempted to get into the neutral zone. That's between about 16 and 26, and it looks like they're about doing a second attempt. But look how far. Just can't do anything. Can't even get close to the 21 exponential. Weak sauce. That is very weak sauce. Let's go on the hourly. Looks like it's looking very much like Bitcoin trying to get in there. That's still weak. Bitcoin is actually above the 26 level on the DMI. This is not, which is Ethereum. Ethereum is not. Very critical spot. Like I said, just like on BTC, it's going to lead the pack. Be careful. This is not, in my opinion, a place to be opening trades. Maybe tiny ones. Use some really small leverage or something. Or don't even use leverage. Just tiny trades. Because there's obviously there's going to be a big move coming from this. And since it has been a pretty extended downtrend, I wouldn't be surprised to either see capitulation here, so big ass move to sell off, or just a rally. Don't forget, we are coming into the end of September, which I think in the next 2 weeks there are lots of ETFs that need to be approved or disapproved or whatever. So there could be some rallying into that anticipation of maybe we'll get lucky, right, or something like that. Let's see here. Oh, Litecoin, Bitcoin. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to dollar. There we go. Let's see here. So Litecoin again is showing a little bit of relative strength. It has been doing that lately with the recent price action. So bears are about to lose control in the daily, but it is real close. Man, yeah, wow, this is crazy. This couldn't be more of a dangerous place unless you got steel balls. And if I had super steel balls, I'd probably go long here. Oof, I hate saying that. It's almost like, oof. But really getting short here is really dangerous. Because if you see, like, once it breaks this, yeah, you could do good, but why not wait for confirmation? Taking shorts is better up against this purple EMA or even the 55, which is the orange one, and coinciding with other things like this channel that it's been in since the run-up. You know, it got right up here to this trend line, which it's been failing for like pretty much the whole summer, back until it first broke it in mid-June. So not really showing like that. Just the risk to reward here is really bad. to get short, because it'd just be really easy to rip some face here, and you can see that by if we check out the longs on Bitfinex. No, not the short. Yeah, let's check out the longs while I'm talking about shorts. That makes sense. All right, maybe I can find them. There they are. Dang it, I am just being special ed today. There we go. They're not looking super weak either here. Let's see. Yeah, it is interesting. They're both up here, but this indicator's like indicators on this kind of stuff are going to be a little wonky. So I don't really put too much weight into those. Actually, should just take that off and look at price only. Maybe some moving averages, but that's about it. This still looks pretty damn strong. It looks like there is going to be some pretty hard resistance around this like 37,500 area. So if these guys keep kind of ratcheting down, they've only been up here in this area a few times, and every time a rally comes. Now we haven't seen it double back tested like this so quickly. I mean, this is only in, you know, a couple of weeks it did this. So that is interesting. That makes me want to think that we have a little bit more room in this to the upside. Not sure though. No one knows shit, by the way. You just have to wait for price to tell you. Price is king. So let's see. I'm actually going to put me an alert on there, and so that way I know if the shorts are breaking out. And I'm going to put it up above all of that business. I don't need to get some noise and be faked out. All right. We did Litecoin. We did Ethereum. Let's go to the Ripples. The Rips. I'm going to look at some privacy coins too. So yeah, see, this is kind of more reset than it is divergence on Ripple. So this is more like an oscillator reset. This isn't like, you know, people will probably like, well, this is bear, like this is divergence right here. Well, not really. You didn't make any lower price. You're pretty much just right on this damn hammer. I mean, price is just floating right at the top of this hammer. And bears are still strong. See, so I really like this DMI indicator. You can tell that they're still strong underneath the surface. And while bulls are weak, they're like even below the 16 level, which we like to see as a neutral zone. But that means they are kind of quiet too. I'm really excited to see what this next week or so brings coming up into this ETF announcement. It would be wild to go sideways here with no tiny rally, because it's not likely that they're going to get past, in my opinion. So I think it would be kind of wild that they didn't rally slightly so they can dump more once they say that they're not approved. Although we do have 5 commissioners now, so there's no tie available. That was a little that was an option, a wild card there, that they could just tie. Even if, what was her name, Hester Price, and she convinced 1, then it would be 2 and 2. But now they have 5, so it can only go one way. Or, I mean, it can go pass or fail, but now it can't be pass, fail, or tie. So I guess it can only go 2 ways now. So yeah, Ripple hasn't changed much. Most of the market hasn't changed anything. We talked about it too a few days ago, about these oscillators, if they'll reset. And they kind of are. On the 4-hour, you're seeing a little bit of divergence, but not enough to really be excited about. Again, most stuff is just getting slapped at the 21 exponential continuously on most coins here. So XRP is looking the same. Let's go to EOS. Let's see here, 5, kind of just chilling. It actually looks a little bit better. Okay, yeah, so you have the bulls are actually in the neutral zone with the bears now, so it's showing slight relative strength. Let's get rid of this trend line because that's kind of irrelevant at this point. And bouncing off the nice middle part of this channel, but we do have hardcore resistance here at about 550. All right, so that had a nice bounce off of these lows, which we talked about in that last video, it being in that range, that buy range that we discussed here, which was like 460 to 480 was a really good load up spot. And it looks like it actually was again for a second here, but That was quick. You only had about half the day to get into that one. But so yeah, EOS showing a little bit of relative strength. Let's go look at some privacy coins. On a Bitcoin pair, Dash has looked pretty damn good. Volume's been increasing for a long time. Almost this whole year, there's been lots of people playing. Dash has been kind of accepted in a lot of, you know, economic crisis countries. They're liking it a lot. So Dash, you know, I've seen Dash ads on airplanes, which was, I thought was really crazy. And look at this, Dash is one of the only charts right here that's bullish on internals. You got bullish on the daily even, and commandingly bullish at that. 4 hour, same thing, and now the bears are even getting pushed back into the dead zone on the 4 hour, and on the single hour, neutral. So that is something to be aware of. The single hour is giving you a little bit of a hint of some slight divergence, but it's not really enough. I don't trade off the single hour. 4 hours pretty much the minimum I like to go to actually initiate and open trades. Let's look at it on a dollar pair. Where is it? The one that I want, Bittrex. There we go. Let's ratchet up to the daily. Fighting over here at the 55 daily exponential moving average. Neutral on the dollar. Bullish on the Bitcoin pair. Very bullish on the Bitcoin pair. Let's go down to 850 from the daily. And, well, maybe if we load. A neutral also on the 850. No divergences yet. 4 hour neutral to slightly bullish, but there is slight divergence from these two price action levels here and here, but we are consolidating like kind of right in between them, so that could be a reset as well, setting up here. So, but we are getting rejected so far off this longest term moving average, the red line here. That's going to be, as you can see, it broke through, probably tricked a lot of people, came back, tested it twice as support. Whatever the hell you want to fixate the news that made this happen. It was probably just more sellers than buyers, though. Sorry. I don't want to hurt your feelings. But that's probably what it was. Here's an interesting little trend line that's kind of popping up there. So if we can't get it now, it's turned back to resistance. So if we can't get above, you know, 210 bucks, forget about it. And I'd like to see that on the daily for Dash. Let's go to XMR. And we'll start with the Bitcoin pair. Bitcoin XMR. Oh, no lines. Add them real quick. You can do that real fast. Alt H for horizontals. Neutral on the daily. A little slightly nice that it's holding above the 55 MA here, and it has found support, like pretty hardcore support right between the 21 and the 55, as y'all can see right there. Oh man, I totally forgot to do big screen. Alright, whoops, that's okay. At least I didn't forget to change the screen, right? Let's see, on the 4 hour resistance, 21 EMA has been resistance for the last few days, and it is continuing to. Wow, these EMAs though on the 4 hour stacking up hardcore. You have this third longest term one, the purple, and the longest term one is the red. So it is magnetizing around the red just as it did around here. So we're getting a lot of coiling action. It is very neutral on the Bitcoin pair on the 4 hour as well. Let's check it out on the dollar. Maybe we can get a little bit. Mo info. Nope, kind of the same thing. Staying under the 21 exponential. Looks like there's some good support forming right here at about 100 bucks. That was that last time we kind of looked at it. Actually was around these prices before this good run up. Thinking it was a good trade. We saw the DMI positive breakout pretty hardcore right here, and we got above the purple and the 21 exponential. Came back with the support on the 55, which is a great sign, and it continued to run. So that was definitely one that we were talking about. I I still like XMR, but again, Bitcoin's got to lead the way, generally speaking. Or maybe Dogecoin is the new Bitcoin. I don't know. No volume on any of this sell-off here, though. It pretty much died right after that. If you notice, that's kind of the trend. The bulk of that volume from that sell-off earlier in September, about a week ago or so, has faded. Of course, there's this little pop here, that second little push down, and then it's like everyone's like, man, did that really just happen? Wait, isn't there an ETF coming? And I think that's going to get a little bit of people excited. Yeah, here you go. See this volume here. That's mostly buy volume too, if y'all can see that. All the green. Yeah, a lot of volume. Probably the most volume we've seen since March. Bad things happened after that, but history doesn't repeat itself. It does rhyme, though. Also, maybe compared to here a little bit, the volume, and even a little bit over in this region, which that was nice. What happened after there? Of course, no one ever knows. It could go either way. We are bearish. Oh, nope, we're neutral, actually, on the daily. Sorry. Let's go to the 850. Neutral. 4 hour. Neutral. 1 hour. Just barely getting a little bullish. So just like Bitcoin, Monero looks to be moving in tandem with it this time, not last time. Let's see Zcash. Believe their sapling thing still goes live at the end of this month. On the daily, bearish, commandingly bearish on the daily. 4 hour, same deal. Slight divergences on your oscillators, a little bit. Nothing to get too excited about, though. On the 850, bearish. Still very bearish on the 850, neutral on the hour. So Zcash isn't participating in any of this semi-relief that we're seeing in some of the top 10 coins. So do be wary of that. Although usually coins like to pump on upgrades like waves. We can go look at waves. They're saying, hey, we got smart contracts now. And, oh, that's a crappy chart. Let's go to Bittrex. We got some smart contracts now, and, you know, it just popped super hard. Getting already rejected here to the T almost. Look at that. If you can see this purple exponential, which if you want to use it, it is a 144 exponential. You're wondering, where the hell did you get that number? It's kind of like putting fibs inside of your trend lines. You can think of it like that. Check it out. Put it on your chart. Play with it. So let's go to Waves Cash. Waves Dollar. Yeah, it's a nice little pop. $1.85 to about 250. That's where it's holding on now. That's likely just from... Oh, excuse me. That's likely just from that news. Nothing really exciting. All right. Let me clean this chart up a little bit while we're in here, though. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. All trash. And we could use a couple of lines on this guy. Bam. Bam. Bada bing. Yeah, you can see two bulls getting rejected right at that 26 level on the DMI indicator down here in the bottom right. So, careful with waves. Again, Bitcoin is king. King. You got to make sure it starts going foist. Let's go to equities. Here's the S&P 500. We're seeing a little relief off of this 21 exponential. We talked about this when it was up here. A really awesome setup would be if this comes in and bounces to it, that I would be adding long positions to it. I have been doing that. So we're kind of just, or at least I'm waiting for some of that action to at least get and pop back up over here to maybe 29.10. On the internals, we are fairly neutral. The bulls did definitely step in fairly good today on this rainy Monday down here in Texas. I don't know if that hurricane or something is giving us some weather, but it's been dumping. We had some crazy floods. Anyway, I digress. On the daily, what's interesting about this price action for me is we break out all-time highs just barely. Here's the previous all-time high over here to the left. And now we just barely went out of it. And now we're coming back to test right on top of it and getting support, which also lines up the 21 exponential. I will bail on these if we blow below probably about 28.50, but the stock market's not even bearish at all until you get below probably 2700, because that would put you below the purple exponential and this long-term trend line channel that's been around since January of 2016. Okay, so there's, if anything, that would be really good spot to get ballsy, like back in here. But I kind of like the odds and risk reward at this point in time. Here you go as well. Nasdaq, very similar chart. It's not hanging above the 21 exponential, which makes it slightly more bearish, but it is being sandwiched between 21 and 55. Also a nice trend line coincides with those prices. And the one thing that is interesting is there's lots of volume coming into this sell-off, though, so I am going to be a little cautious here. If we break the 55 on this on a daily close, I will be bouncing and closing my long delta positions in equities, because this volume with this sell-off, if it doesn't stop and get bought pretty much, and then this week, it's very likely to break down. What I've been waiting for is the Dow Jones to catch up and make a new high. I still think we're going, because it's only, what is this? Garbage percent. No, 2%. Little measly 2%. It's nothing. Give us a little 700 to 900 points in the Dow. Could easily do that. And then at the same time, all the indices can make little incremental highs. New highs, and we can have the economists say something like all indexes make new highs, America's great again, Trump did it, or something. I don't know, some BS. They did post an article today that was talking about the band-aid. There's like band-aids all over the like banks and stuff, and they're like, did they really fix what happened in the crisis? It was a pretty bearish article, so that's interesting. Right up here at the tops too, because if you ratchet out on the longer term time frames on equities, they are starting to look incredibly bullish, especially the weekly. Even if we chop out to the, let me go ahead and add monthly to my starred time frames. Yeah, you can see, look at all this money that's playing in this market right now. Look at this. This is every day. And now we're just coming back to test right here where the bears, or where the bulls are still controlling on a monthly time scale, y'all. This is you don't see this very often. This market is very strong. So I wouldn't even get bearish on the Dow unless we broke like 22,300, you know, which is a good chunk away, but still this is looking incredibly bullish to me. Let's look at ES again on the monthly, since we skipped that. Here's some time cycles I've had drawn on here for a long time. It's just because it doesn't go back for far here. But it does if you look on SPX, which I probably should just erase these and move that to SPX. But you can see some time cycles. And this one is already on fire. Let's go to weekly on it. Look at this, and now weekly is just now gaining back the confidence on DMIs, giving us clues. Now let's see if RSI can get back over like 50 with this up here. That's going to be super bullish, y'all. Super bullish. And I am expecting a rally into this election, which is the midterms are coming up fairly quickly. All right, let's look at oil. Bouncing, we broke this trend line. Let's zoom in a little bit. We broke this trend line. This 21 is being pretty formidable resistance now, and it's stacked on right on the money with the 55 plus this trend line. So getting over about 69 bucks is going to be fairly difficult. That looks like that even lines up with a fib number. Yeah, look at that, 69.15. And sometimes when I have wicks like this, I kind of just take the middle price of them. Same on the downside. So remember, this is art. This isn't exact science. Like if you did it from the top to the bottom, it would be 69.64. If you only did closing bodies, then you would do it like this, and it would be about 69. So yeah, about what I was saying. 69 dollars is going to be really serious resistance. It failing twice on this trend line is not the best sign. I actually was a little bit more bullish on oil for this year. You had the Saudi Aramco thing, the IPO, but that all got scrapped apparently. And America is pumping oil out like crazy now. The U.S. out of Galveston here in Houston here in Texas, we just exported more than we imported for like the first time ever recently, like last month. So don't sleep on the US making lots of oil. We got it here for sure. And that's like if we tapped Alaska, which has a shit ton of reserves, which we can't yet because, you know, environmental stuff, but if they ever did unlock that, forget about it. We do have another trend line that goes back a little bit further, and it has a lot of anchors. This bottom, this bottom, this bottom, these couple tops, this bottom, this bottom. So this is like the last line of defense. Funny, it even lines up with this purple exponential here. So if we can get a break of that with this structure, I'd probably be looking to test down into this red line, like low 60s. We could even do a little measured move from this little sell-off here. Let's see. 168. Look at that. Wow, 168. Like I was telling y'all, it's kind of like proving what I was telling y'all. These exponential numbers are kind of like fibs, constantly like drawing fibs on the price as it goes. As you can see, the 1618 extension from this run-up right here is right on top of this red exponential. So yeah, and there's more that you can use for that, but I just like to have a little bit cleaner charts. These are the ones I've found to be most useful. So one thing I did want to point out about that run too is if you look at kind of this, we are bouncing at 618 here, which is about where the purple line and this purple trend line is. So we are sandwiched between looks like probably 67 and 69 on oil. As soon as we break one of those, it's off to the races. Let's go to gold. Gold's still looking weak. Let's pull the contract up though, so we can see some volume. Let's go ahead and erase this channel too, because that is ugly and irrelevant. So gold on the futures is having support on these blue dots here, which is not SAR, and it kind of looks like that. It is a triple exponential moving average. You should play with them. They act very different than traditional moving averages. I believe this one I have on here is even like, yeah, 33, right? And this is a 21 exponential. See, the yellow. So look how different those are plotted. They're pretty useful. I like them as this, like when they start printing support, they just act very different. Play around with them. Neutral on the daily, but the bears have fallen out of the dominance zone, out of the power zone. So that is very interesting. It's just super lows, but again, if the dollar still shows strength, this is going to get hammered. Gold's not going to do good. And look at this, fighting the 21 exponential the entire time. Almost literally the whole summer. Yeah, pretty much since April 20th. Your favorite day. It's been selling off and not being... one day it got above it right here, but got slapped hard, and there was no momentum in the move. Actually, the bulls and the bears were both by the neutral, like on the bottom barrel of the neutral zone. So, been weak as shit for most of... Actually, let's just say the whole damn year. Because even from the beginning of the year, it went sideways and then just dove off a cliff. One thing that's not weak is crap in metals. It's palladium. Just fun chart. Yeah, look at this palladium chart. It's just like, you can't stop palladium. It broke. It almost got almost as much as gold. 1150. Crazy run. It is showing some weakness here though, and since it has been showing relative strength in the sector, this is not a great sign. So this might be hinting that metals got a little bit more room to go down. And let's check out the dollar chart to maybe double confirm that we are still holding above this 55 exponential. We've been watching this chart for a little bit. If this starts running up, I do think it is. I think we're going to test 100, which is right here. Yeah, gold will get mollywopped. Like, there's definitely a good chance gold goes to $1,000, like around $1,000 in the next year. I would really like that too. That would be amazing. All right, final thoughts. BTC, Big Mama. Again, same shit, different day. We are getting a little bit of love here as I've been making these. It's trying. Got slapped though right there. Let's go to the hour. So yeah, as this candle closed real nice and bullish. Oh wow, wow, that, I guess right when we went away from it before it closed, that happened. Yeah, literally in the last 5 minutes of that hourly candle, when we went to other charts, it went from 330 or 63.35 to what is that? About $50. And now it's given some of that back, but we are firmly above the 55 on a nice candle, though, not like any of these BS candles. And we haven't seen that since this initial Goldman Sachs slash BitMEX slash whatever hell else news you want to put on there, Silk Road money, whatever's. So this is actually getting a little bit more bullish, especially if these next couple hours bounce off of the 55. That'll be something to look for. We haven't seen that strength since right here. And this was really weak. If you look, like I say, with the DMI on the hourly, if you want to kind of zoom in and get a little bit of a head, possibly, if you want to trade on those low time frames, which I don't really recommend, but do what you want, right? But if you do that, you see how this bounced off of it and couldn't get any momentum. It couldn't even test this wick again on it. And as you saw, that momentum was being sucked out as price went sideways on the DMI. And then it got back below, and then they tried to fight, but they were staying below the 55 moving average. Now we are back above it. They're trying to show one more time that they might have some more power, and I will say they better do it now. If bulls don't get going now, it's not going to look pretty. Here's the end of October too. If we go vertical, let me throw vertical on there. So this red line, a lot of ETFs have to be, I think a couple of them can be pushed off still, but most of them have to be final decisions. But hell, what the hell does that mean? They make one and then they say, oh wait, we're reviewing it. It's like, all right, whatever. This price action right here in Bitcoin, this is like major consolidation, and people are debating everywhere if it's, you know, distribution or accumulation, and it's really, really hard to say. To me, this looks, I really do want to call this like a really solid wedge formation, a falling wedge formation. But I get that's kind of hard, even if you drew it kind of like this, right? Because this one breached it too. It's funny, it was the reaction from this reaction low to this reaction high were the ones that both breached on a closing basis. You know, it did breach here, but not on a closing basis. So this is very indicative of falling wedge pattern. If you're not familiar, you can go Google that up on whatchamacallit, Google. Duh. That was real special, guys. Man, has been a long day or something, I guess. I don't know. But let's go look at something I wanted to show you, because I'm just going to do falling wedge reversal. Stockcharts.com, John Murphy's website, one of the gurus in technical analysis, has one of the best free chart schools. It's one of the best. You can get everything on here. I highly recommend it. It's kind of where I first stumbled on, and I'm glad I really did when I first started trading. They have really good services and data, and like, they're just badass. They really are. It looks like over here too, you can get a 1 month free trial. Get it in. All right, so here's a falling wedge pattern. You can see there's one there. This kind of Bitcoin's almost looks exactly like this one to me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then go. And then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then go. So it's like really close. It's interesting. This is just FCX, mining company, Freeport McMoran, if you don't know. So just, I just brought this up mostly not for that chart, but just to kind of show you that it is better to have the, like this, that you can see, this is PPO. I don't use that indicator. It's like a better version of MACD though. If you use the MACD, you should check out the PPO. It's pretty solid. So anyway, back to this form and this pattern and what you need, and it's like, to qualify as a reversal pattern, there must be a prior trend in place. Ideally, the falling wedge will form after an extended downtrend and mark the final low. The pattern usually forms over 3 to 6 months, and the preceding downtrend should be 3 months old, at least 3 months old. And, you know, everybody has a little bit of different flavor. Bukowski has a little bit different metrics on what makes one. He doesn't have the time frame on there as long. But let's just kind of look at that a little bit. If you go here, this downtrend was about, oops, I'm a little over here, almost exactly 3 months, you know, just shy, 10 days shy. And then if we do that again, this pattern has building for how long do you think? Pretty much since this green box is down here. That's funny. So that is about 225 days, which is about 7 months. So you got about a 7-month pattern, and it's usually over 3 to 6 months. So we're right at the end of that, a little bit out of it, but again, this is not science, right? And it takes at least 2 reaction highs. We have that. Ideally 3. We got that. A little bit more than 3. We have exactly that. The reaction lows required. The reaction lows are still penetrating the previous lows, but the penetration becomes shallower. Okay, so let's check that out. Are we getting that? Yes. Major deep penetration. Tried to get it. Less of a deep penetration. About, this one got a little bit more, but then these ones have been like weak attempts at trying to sell off, right? Resistance break, bullish confirmation is not until this breaks out, but on, like, it almost did it here, but then when it came back to test the support, it failed, so that doesn't count, right? Ideally, you want these to break out, and then your best low risk buy is when it comes back to test here and then stop right below it. So if it does that again, though, mind you, it's probably gonna, it would have to be up to here, like somewhere in this area. So between 68 and like 71, depending how long it took, unless it just happened like in a day, which totally is, I mean, look back here, Bitcoin does crazy stuff. But anyway, and the volume looks good too. Look at all this volume towards the end of the wedge forming. Big volume here, starts a little less, tapers off, kind of goes flat in the middle, now starts picking up, and a lot of these candles are green in here too, if y'all haven't noticed that. Most of these are kind of the white, which is sell pressure, and a lot of these beginning ones have been green. There's some good green clusters, so there is some buying going on there. But just some food for thought. I don't know. It looks very wedgy to me, and you know, volume again isn't that important until you do the breakout part. But it's definitely looking slightly wedgy, but you know, this still could be like a nice slap down here at the bottom of it to 55, 56, and then come back. No one knows, but to me this does look very textbook wedge. We'll see what happens. Let's delete that. Outside of that, because price predictions are kind of dumb and a fool's game. So, based off of everything, though, we still are pretty bearish. The hourly is the only one. The 4 hours trying, it really is. If we get a close in the 4 hour above 6,400, that would look pretty nice. But really, the only thing that's shining for Bitcoin at the moment is the hourly, and we're above, with a little more conviction than we have been before, above the 55 to 21, and we're bullish. So that has only happened very briefly here yesterday since this original sell-off. So keep an eye on these markets, put alerts. We are in a tight range. This, again, is a dangerous place to initiate trades unless you got balls of steel and like to take risk. But generally, guys, doing that's not going to make you lots of money over the long run. With that said, we will see y'all guys tomorrow. This is No Noise Research. I am Z-Rex, signing off. Please sub, bell, and smash if you enjoyed any of this content. And check out my other videos. I timestamp them. Lots of detailed timestamps so you can get in there and out real quick. And without further ado, mañana it is. Peace.